Now, government is considering a shutdown of the Marwako food chain as it launches investigations into allegations that a supervisor at the restaurant dipped the face of his subordinate in hot pepper. A supervisor at the Abelegbe branch of the facility allegedly dipped the face of a subordinate into freshly ground hot pepper to punish her for allegedly working too slow. The news has gone viral on social media, with many calling for a boycott of the facility. Police investigations are underway into the incident, but today a government delegation led by the Employment and Labour Minister stormed the facility to demand some answers. Let's first hear from the Gender Minister, Otiko Jaba.
On behalf of all women and the people of this country, I'm condemning what has happened. And we must make an example, because it has gone on for too long. These things that happen to our people in this country cannot happen to a foreigner. If it was the other way around, and we were in Lebanon or where they come from, I don't think that it will be possible for us to do that. Do you? So, we are a free country, and we must feel good about living in Ghana and working in Ghana. The work ethics encourage respect and equal opportunities and inspiring people. When you treat somebody so badly, they lose confidence, their dignity is affected, their self-esteem goes down. And this is not the first time other people from other places. We live in a global world, and we must be friends with each other. But it doesn't mean that you must do things at the expense of the indigents. So we would want this type of thing to stop. Never again in this country must anybody, whether it's a Ghanaian or a non-Ghanaian, treat another human being in this way with such contempt. It's an abuse. Everybody has rights. And the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection will make sure, working with the Ministry of Employment and the TUC, that this bad behavior doesn't happen again. We would go as far as to say that there will be sanctions for people who treat our people badly, or else we'll close down the entity, because this is Ghana at 60. This is Ghana at 60. We cannot be slaves or oppressed in our own country. Being the Black Star of Africa means we believe in the rule of law, in equal opportunities. And when we are friends with people who come to visit us, non-Ghanaians, they should not take advantage of our hospitality. Ghana is known for akwaba, our warmth, and how we handle strangers. But strangers must understand that we are not weak. We are not weak. The people of Ghana are a proud country. We work from strength, and that is why we are the Black Star of Africa.
Children, Gender and Social Protection Minister Otiko Jaba. Well, Matilda Womega was with them. She joins me in the studio. She wants me to say Womega instead of Womega. Is that what? Womega? Okay, sorry. Okay, so you followed the minister today to Marwako restaurant. It's been a center of controversy. It's been a center of attraction to a lot of fury, to a lot of curious people, I believe. How was it like? How were they received today? What was the vibe, someone will say, when you went to the restaurant today with the ministers?
Okay, so today, apparently, it was part of the Gender Minister and then the Employment and Labour Relations Minister. It was part of the agenda to go to the restaurant to get first-hand information, on this particular issue. Yes, according to both ministers, they saw the story on social media, and they have been trying to get some answers from the managers at that particular facility, and also to get the understanding as to exactly what happened. So until they got the confirmation today that indeed it actually happened, they thought social media made up some of these stories.
Really?
Especially with regards to the fact that this lady's face was actually dipped into pepper.
So what did they gather we understand that the police has already started investigations. What did they gather when they went there today?
So first of all, my managers of that particular place didn't know that it was unannounced visit.
Okay.
Yes, so they didn't know that both ministers were going to be there. Yes, okay. But it wasn't just the minister. The MP for the area also came around, and the TUC boss also came around. So it tells you how serious they are in dealing with this.
And you could say that this was all driven by social media, the power of social media.
Yes.
Exactly. So let's speak to what they found that we did not already know from the girls, the ladies' account, and from the apology letter that we've seen purportedly coming from this supervisor who abused her. What else did they pick up?
So the lady in question wasn't at post today. When I asked of her, they said she's not been to the workplace for some time now because of that particular case, which is expected anyway. But from the general manager of that particular place, he says that he got the information. He wasn't there when this particular issue happened, but the information he gathered from the supervisor and then other workers there is that this lady in question was blending pepper and then some few ingredients, and according to them she had loaded the blender with so much and then it wasn't blending when the supervisor came in. When he came in, out of anger, he pulled the blender away from the lady and then it splashed on her face.
That's the account
of the general manager.
Okay.
So he is saying that it wasn't as if the supervisor dipped her face into the blender because the pepper was in the blender. So it splashed and then everything poured on her face. But what I find interesting is that on that particular day, when the thing happened, they didn't take any immediate step to address
to deal with it. Okay, but we know that the employment minister has been giving them some ultimatum.
Yes. So for now, the issue is being handled by the Labor Department at the ministry. So the minister has given the restaurants a 1 week ultimatum to present its own internal report to the ministry to help
what
them
happened.
Exactly, to assist them with what they have gathered. So we can hear from the Employment and Labor Relations Minister.
Right.
The mere fact that there was no first aid point, even at the work premise, and you had to even resort to a pharmacy, it talks of a shortness in the application of the law here. We are forwarding a bill to cabinet, which will ensure, if it is eventually passed by Parliament, ensure that in every organization, every organization that employs more than 20 people will have to employ what we call a health and safety officer. If there were a health and safety officer in place, perhaps that would have been the first point of call even before going to the clinic. You know what to do. And especially in a restaurant environment where you work with gas and fire, heat, it is a necessary office that you must create within your environment. As I said, the labor union, the labor office will do labor audits, and then we'll also do inspection of your premises to advise you on what we think is inadequate here.
So that is the Minister for Labor and Employment and Labor Relations there, and what they said about it. What else did you said there were other groups? The TUC was there. Which other group was there?
The MP for the area.
The MP for the. What did both of them say? To
so for the TUC boss, he's saying that this is not the first time such a case has been reported. He cited an example. Somewhere last year, someone was tied to a container for about a week. He said they have received reports of such abuses at various workplaces. But one thing they are going to champion now is to ensure that workplaces and employers ensure that they have unions, because according to him, when we have unions at workplaces, it helps to fight and address abuses that comes.
I see. Speaking of unions, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting discussion. But let's speak about what the responses from the general manager has been, and then we can hear from him just after.
Yes. So we can take a listen to the
the general manager.
Yes,
What did he say again?
He has been narrating how
okay, their parts,
internally,
of course. It's important to hear their side of the story. Now, here is the general minister, the general manager of Marwako.
When I had a memo on my desk that there was a complaint from Abilimke branch about one of our supervisors, Jihad Shaban, that a lady was blending a pepper. One of our staff, called Evelyn Boachi, was blending a pepper. And in the course of blending a pepper, I don't know whether she wasn't using the blender well. So the gentleman was coming to the kitchen, and then he heard that the blender was making too much acid. It was loaded too much. So out of anger, he tried to collect the blender from her and then tell her that, oh, no, you burn the coil. So this is not how you should use the blender. And in the course of doing that, I think he did that with anger. That is what the HR told me. He did that with anger. So in the course of taking the blender from the lady, the pepper splashed onto her face. And so when the HR made that complaint that, okay, she wanted to take her action, and we say, yes, of course. Happen. We want to listen to the lady first.
Okay, Doc, it appears this is not the first time such complaints are coming. It appears a lot of Ghanaian workers are going through some form of abuses or the other at their workplace. What exactly is TUC going to do with this particular issue?
You are right to say this is not the first time. Last year, we had a similar incident in Takrady, where a worker was chained to a container. We dealt with it. Later, the worker was compensated. Now, what we are going to do is try first to intensify unionization in the restaurant sector. Because if there's a union, what we call the shop steward, will deal with it right there. So we are going to make sure all the workers there are unionized. Employers in some of these restaurants are preventing unionization. I think we should bring an end to that. Another thing we are going to do is to set up a hotline so that if you go through such a thing, call that hotline and let us know about it. And once we know about it, an officer will come and check and draw the attention of the labor officers to it. So I think these two, first, intensify unionization, make sure every worker in Ghana is unionized. Second, we have a hotline, which means that if something happens to you, you can easily call and then you'll get a response from.
That's the TUC boss there speaking to Matilda earlier. So what's next?
We're getting information that the supervisor in question has formally been charged with assault.
Okay, thank you very much, Matilda. Matilda Wamega has been following the Minister for Gender, Children, Gender and Social Protection, as well as the Employment and Labor Relations, as well as the TUC boards, all of them at the Marwako fast food, at the Marwako restaurant there, about the lady who was abused. Well, that's it for that story. We'll be talking a bit of politics, but here is Mr. Mugabe again, before we get into the discussion about whether or not the president is trying to rewrite Ghana's history by eliminating Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Well, where are we now? The number of leaders. I don't know whether the Nkrumah's, shall I say, politics and a revolution is still amongst any of you, of our leaders here. The CPP, which was an example to many other organizations, especially in Southern Africa, is about to suffer its extinction. And it appears there hasn't been a kind of real succession trend to Nkrumahism. Nkrumah might have written books, but the most, shall I say,
Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe there with his thoughts on the role that former President Nkrumah played. In the studio with me is Ernesto Yebois, former communications director with the CPP, and they have actually, are you still with the CPP, by the way? You're welcome.
Yeah, and the current national youth organizer of the Convention People's Party.
Okay. Were you reinstated after that issue?
I mean, sure, the judicial arm of the party spoke, and they spoke very loud and clearly.
That should be reinstated, but how has it been done? Has it been, has that ruling been executed?
Nobody in that party can say that they are not going to respect the, how do you call it, the ruling of the disciplinary committee that I did not form. It's like the president of the Republic of Ghana sacking a worker, the worker goes to court, the court reinstates the worker, and then the president says, I won't allow it or I won't agree. I think that we are in a country of rule of law, and our party is expected to follow suit.
Expected, but are they? Have they?
Well, they have no choice.
It's a yes or no.
They have no choice. They have no choice. But more importantly, let me inform you that I no longer speak for the Convention People's Party.
Okay.
I am the leader of a movement called the Economic Fighters League.
Economic Fighters League.
Economic Fighters League, EFL for short, or you call us fighters.
Okay.
And basically what we are about is a group of young people, I mean far and near, who have come together to fight to realize the ambition of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah.
Which is why you are not very excited about the way you think that the president seems to be rewriting history. Is that correct?
Well, that's a concern, but it's not our major concern. Our major concern is the fact that economic freedom, the real reason for which we fought for political freedom, has eluded us since 1966. So as a young person in a 60-year-old country, which is proceeding on retirement, with nothing to show, I feel the hopelessness and the need to rise up together with my colleagues to lead that revolution to bring about that economic freedom that we have been.
And this revolution is not excited about the president's account of Ghana's independence, or what the things that happened, the things that preceded Ghana's independence. Why?
I think that the president, from the political tradition that he represents, did not say anything different from what his forebearers would have done or have done all these while. So we are not particularly surprised, but we feel that for Nanado in particular, as a person, and the unique space that he occupies in history, we felt that he would exercise courage in apologizing on behalf of J.B. Dankwa and Buzia for the roles they played, the very positions they took leading up to independence. Don't forget that there was a popular motion of destiny that was...
Apologizing to who?
Apologizing to the people of Ghana on behalf of J.B. Dankwa and Buzia for some of the unfortunate positions they took when it came to the question of independence. Don't forget
the fact that they were not as radical, if you would say, as Dr. Nkrumah, and the fact that they wanted it in the shortest possible time, or the fact that...
You see, one thing that...
What did they do wrong?
We can't take away from Buzia or even Dankwa is the fact that these were vocal human beings. They expressed themselves, and I mean, they wrote. In fact, they sent a delegation after, how do you call it, losing to the motion of destiny in 1953, sent a delegation to the Queen of England. And these were the words of, how do you call it, Buzia in the campaign of J.B. Dankwa. We still need you in the Gold Coast. Your experiment is not complete. Sometimes I wonder why you seem so much in the hurry to wash your hands of us. This is, how do you call it, Buzia in the company of J.B. Dankwa, expressing in no, how do you call it, uncertain terms, that we are not ready for independence. Stay on, continue with your experiment. The JM Tuaso, it didn't start today. It started far back then. They were telling the, how do you call it, the British, colonial authorities that Tuaso continue with colonialism.
So you're basically saying that the president, whose father it was at the time, should have apologized to the people of Ghana. Really?
He should have. I mean, that was the going to be the mark of his greatness. Unfortunately, he missed that opportunity in history. However, from where he comes from, we are not surprised that he would follow, how do you call it, on such a path. But for us, the question of our economic independence is our priority.
Okay.
It is what needs to be answered. Just a few days ago when he was, addressing Parliament in the State of the Nation, he told us that he was in a hurry to move Ghana out of the Gothisburg economy. Now ask yourself, you say this and then your finance minister has begged the IMF to extend its program with Ghana.
Well, this is something that we've already gone into, so we need to, work it out.
Yes, but how does it take us out of the Gothisburg economy?
Well,
it rather makes us dependent.
You've got to take some steps. I mean, it takes some time.
And the step is
IMF
World Bank. Show me one country in the world that IMF World Bank has made, how do you call it, rich or successful or prosperous. Not a single country. So that path is a path in futility. Now your whole agric sector, you leave it in the hands of US aid. And US aid is leading in the distribution of, how do you call it, what is suspected to be genetically modified seeds across the length and breadth of our country. And nobody is saying anything about. So in future, what is going to happen is that if we have to eat corn in this country, we have to go and beg, a foreign nation before we are able to come and plant. How does this take us out of that Gothisburg economy? Talk about the MCA, the Millennium Challenge Compact Agreement.
Right.
This is, a government that has agreed to sell off everything, sell off ECG, sell off Gridco, sell off VRA, and you think you want to get out of the Gothisburg economy. Okay. So this is where we are.
This is where we are. Let's get to Robert Mugabe and wrap up this conversation quickly, who says that the CPP is about to be extinct. How do you feel about that? What do you say to that?
Well, he is right. And one thing you can't take away from Robert Mugabe is his frankness. Currently, with the crop of leadership that you have in that party, a dishonest, corrupt cabal, you saw the kind of ridiculous positions they took, how do you call it, before the 2016 elections, to the extent that some of the leaders were even campaigning openly for ex-President Mahama and all of that. All of these reduce the confidence and respect that the people of Ghana had in this
You say they are corrupt and dishonest. What's the evidence you've got? So you cannot prove that.
Just how do you call it? Multimedia, your Adom FM station. You have some of, the national leadership coming there to, express themselves on what has happened, where monies came from, the pickups that came from other political parties. And
I have personally not heard that.
Yes, but these are public. They are public.
Really?
When our flag bearer, for instance, goes out there on, sorry to say, a senseless, but that's the senseless defense of corruption, of somebody who has violated the oath of his office, and the whole nation sees it for what it is, and you come out there in defense and protection of that person.
But that is somebody, he's got an explanation. He's got an explanation behind his action, the reason why he did that. So it's not fair for you to.
It's not a matter of his opinion. It's not a matter of his opinion. It's a matter of what the party represents. He's a flag bearer of the Convention People's Party. So we did not elect him to go and express a personal opinion. We elected him to go out there and express the position of the party. This is the party that we belong to. It's a revolutionary movement that brought about political freedom and is aiming for, how do you call it, economic emancipation. Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah himself had talked extensively
but we do not
about
have evidence
fighting corruption
to the effect
and all
of,
that.
this effect that leadership of the CPP at this point.
Of course, but the people of Ghana know, and that is, I mean, exemplified in the kind of results we saw.
So you sound like someone who is just bitter because of the issues that you've had with the party.
The question
is that
you
not
see,
the problem?
and that's the thing. Bitter, yes.
Yes, you are bitter.
Wait, bitter, yes. But is it the truth? I think that this country at age 60 should be motivated in pursuing the truth than in pursuing whether somebody is bitter or happy. It's the same question of this Kwame Nkrumah, we hate Kwame Nkrumah, we love. It is not about hating or loving Kwame Nkrumah. It's about whether, as a country, as a nation, we have been able to achieve economic freedom. And we have nothing to show for it. 97% of our gold is in the hands of foreigners. Anglo Gold, Ashanti, Newmont, and the rest. We need a government that can stand up and say that we are taking it away from you and handing it over to
Let's bring it all back to, and we need to wrap this up in just a few seconds. Let's bring it all back to the Nkrumah issue. Do you think that, is it a Founders Day, like the president has said previously, that we should come to a consensus, national consensus, on what the Founders Day is all about? The Founders Day, he believes, is not just about Nkrumah, should be expanded. So what do you say to that? Let's wrap
Well, as far as the
that.
Economic Fighters League is concerned, that is not a very important question. The whole world acknowledges the role and, I mean, independence of thought of Kwame Nkrumah and all of that. J.B. Dankwa is a human being. He's dead and gone. Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah is an idea that never dies. And this is well established across the length and breadth of the world. So we expect that our leaders would rather focus on the germane, the economic question of the day. Maybe they can become the founders of our economic freedom. And I think that that is what the forward-looking nation does, not these things that belongs to the past. All
right, thank you very much. Ernest Oyeboah is a youth former or still youth organizer of the CPP. Yes. Youth organizer of the CPP and also leading a group that he's calling the Economic Fighters League, expressing their opinion on what's been going on so far. Well, this debate that the president's speech seems to have ignited about the role of Kwame Nkrumah, of course. Well,